The North Node is in Taurus 6. Bridge being built across a gorge. This is to do with overcoming. Following a catastrophe, a setback, it can feel like the earth has opened up to swallow us. The best way to counteract the sense of separation and desolation is to engage in a challenging community project that gives substantial proof of our involvement and the importance of life. So this is a way that we have to overcome, how to overcome separation and to form a sense of belonging within group consciousness, building bridges to end separation. And it also has to do with opening up to higher forces. The bridges that we're building don't necessarily have to be on the peer group level to our own kind, as it were. It can actually be to the supportive agencies beyond this world. And of course, this is a very key image, and a lot of people are feeling increasingly a sense of separation. Certainly during the last few years with COVID, it has accentuated this extremely. More perhaps in the East, in Japan and China, there is a terrible development of this principle of being separated from our species, our people. And it's not okay, it's not healthy. We are part of a collective group. However individual we are, however much we like our own company, however difficult we find it sometimes to engage with other people, actually it's important. We do need to have that kind of interaction with others, even when it's a bit difficult. And the teaching here is that without that, whatever terrible things happen to us in our personal lives, we need the bridge to other people, to the community at large, to re-engage with ourselves, actually. There's an aspect of self which is invested in community. And if you have no interaction with the community, then that aspect of self is not present. And we are diminished as a result of this. So it's important to build bridges with the members of your community by engaging with community activities, especially those which have importance to you. On one level, this can be developing interests, hobbies, skills, knowledge, and that's where we start very often. It can be the pursuit of relaxation and pleasure and enjoyment of camaraderie and so on. And it can be projects to help other people, getting involved in social welfare projects and so on, which is perhaps the fastest way to reconnect. So it's probably more and more difficult to reconnect according to how long you have spent alone. So a bit of a teaching here, I think, is not to allow that to happen. If some disappointment has come to you, if you're experiencing grief or loss or disappointment of some kind, you really ought to quickly get involved with the community as soon as you can, as soon as it feels possible. And you don't have to open up your heart. You just have to be there and participate in activities. And you will find goodness, light, healing properties come to you somehow, as if by osmosis. And to forget that is a dangerous thing. To actually get lost in isolation, where you really don't relate to other people at all. That's a dangerous path to walk for most people. What Jones says on this one, Taurus 6, a bridge being built across a gorge. This is a symbol of the conquest of natural difficulties by conscious means, and of any individual's essential independence of nature's accidents or inconveniences. There are always ways in which physical limitations may be transformed into personal or social assets, thus contributing a dependability on the outer side to a consistency on the inner, and so giving every possibility of continuance and intelligence to human experiences. So whereas the gorge is bridging the natural chasm of the gorge itself, we're looking here at the psychological gorge between we and them when we're having this experience of loss or grief or something. Now, of course, the south node is in Scorpio 6, a gold rush, longing for more. The capacity of Scorpio to intensify feelings at any cost can be expressed as a greed for wealth, as a means of becoming more closely involved with society, although it is not so much the goal that is the issue as the intensity of involvement. Equally, there is a noticeable acceleration of the pace of life as a seeker's avidity for experience grows with each new aspect of realization, and until that appetite is met, they can be quickly drawn into any promise of deeper involvement. Scorpio leads the pack in the zodiac of those who can enjoy life's intensity, and they actually take that to the highest level. They want intensity from life, and because money is so much competed over, optimizing your wealth is one way of making life a little bit more intense, because you have to look after anything that you own, you have to take care of it, other people will want it, and the intensity comes about how to guard it, how to invest it, and so on. So involvement with money is an intense experience, but we're discussing here the intensity rather than the money. And we're all of us encouraged to be a little bit more involved with life. According to all of the scenarios and adventures that come our way, we're invited to participate more deeply and more intensively. And the reason for that is just the simple avidity, the lust for life, which is central to the soul's experience. So that you are ambitious, that you want gold, that you want positions of importance and so on, all of this is actually evidence of a deep vitality of being. Now, it may be that you're expressing that vitality in a somewhat corrupted way. You won't find that position and wealth actually bring you the promise of happiness that seems to go with it. But you will find an intensification of life that brings you to a wisdom and a realization of what does work for you, and it will be different for all of us. And that's what this is really about. Pushing yourself in whatever direction it is. It might be sport, it might be love affairs, it might be anything at all. The hobby that you've got is taken to a point of excellence where you're an authority on the matter. Whatever brings you into an intense involvement in any aspect of life is certain to bring you to a point of resolution of questions, bringing knowledge and then wisdom that follows. That's what this is about. And the pursuit of expression is the central driving force of the soul. The idea being that we have a pendulum existence, shall we call it, between involvement with the earth, where we have experiences and not a lot of understanding, and then we die, and then we move through God to the other side, the spiritual realm, where we have involvement in knowledge without much experience. We know things, but we can't experience it because we don't have a body. And we flow from one side to the other in this rhythmic pendulum. Now life and experience, now after death and spiritual knowledge and so on. And it just goes on and on and on eternally as we move from greater knowledge to experiencing that. Greater experience to knowing what that means, backwards and forwards all of the time. So the idea that we have to have more experience now, what we can in this lifetime, is central to the soul's eternal purpose. Whether we understand that experience or not doesn't actually matter very much, because we'll understand it later. To have the experience is what we're here for. if you do understand your experiences, then you choose to have different ones, and so you raise your game a bit. You have more subtle experiences, which bring more subtle understandings later, and even in this lifetime. So this simultaneous pattern, now this, now that, now this, now that, it's simultaneous insofar as whatever experiences you have now, there's an echo on the side of soul. Soul is having to understand that. And whatever understandings the soul has, then it would be great if you could experience that understanding in this lifetime. So you've got this simultaneous symbiosis between the soul self and the ego self. And the ego self drives itself into new experiences without really caring very much whether they're wise for a while, and eventually picks up on some wisdom and refines their choice of life experience. But it doesn't come to an end, not anyway at my level, my age. I'm still as filled with the appetite for new experiences as ever I was. And yet it's of a different kind. Whereas before I'd run about travelling around the world thinking that the answer lies out there. Nowadays I'm experiencing involvement with people more and their points of view and so on. But it's still experience, it's still new for me. And more importantly, it still brings me to the edge of knowledge. That's what these experiences are for. South Node in there, so all of us should have the opportunity to get more experience now.